What's going on, guys? Welcome into the Bulls Report. I'm your host, Patrick Seatman. On today's show, we're going to be talking about some free agent targets that I think the Bulls could possibly sign in the upcoming free agency period. But first, guys, make sure you guys are subscribed. If you love the Bulls, if you want daily videos and just become the most informed Bulls fan you can be, if there's a news piece, a rumors piece, whatever it is, we'll have you covered. And then also, if you just hate the Boston Celtics, I just can't stand watching them play basketball. Joe Mazzulla might have the most punchable face, frankly, in the NBA. I just can't stand the Boston Celtics. I can't wait till when the Bulls are back on top of the Eastern Conference and the little old Celtics can keep being the little brother of the East. So hit that subscribe button if any of these four things are true. But guys, on today's show, we got 5 free agents that I think the Bulls could possibly sign in the upcoming free agency period. But I do want to say this first. I'll give an honorable mention to the hometown kid, the youngest MVP in NBA history, Derrick Rose. He has a team option with the New York Knicks coming up here where they're probably going to decline. I doubt they decide to bring him back. So that means Derrick Rose could be possibly hitting the market. I think it would be fun. I do think D. Rose, he is most likely cooked. He doesn't really have too much, juice left in the tank. But bringing in D. Rose, I think it would be a great mentor piece for especially a guy like Ayo Dosunmu, who grew up in Chicago, grew up watching Derrick Rose, and then even a guy like Kobe White. I think we've seen what Derrick Rose has kind of been a mentor for Jalen Brunson and these other Knicks guards the past couple of seasons. I don't know. I think it would be fun, and plus it would just be a great feel-good story where D. Rose could possibly retire a Chicago Bull. I'll throw that honorable mention because it wouldn't really be a impact signing, but it'll be fun. It will be cool. So honorable mention, D. Rose. But number 1 on my list is Khris Middleton. Khris Middleton does have a player option in this upcoming year, and I most likely expect him to be back with the Milwaukee Bucks. However, Khris Middleton is a very interesting player that I think could, do some damage with the Chicago Bulls. His stats from this past season, they're not going to blow you away. He was dealing with injuries. He was in and out of the lineup, and he really didn't get settled into this year, but he still put up 15 points a game, just over 4 rebounds a game, still with 5 assists, and with okay shooting splits. Honestly, the 3-point shooting split is way down in years past. Normally he's floating around to 36, 37% from 3, all the way down at 31.4%. But I think Middleton, is a great third option on a championship team. Is he a second option like he was when the Bucks won the championship a couple years ago? Probably not anymore. He has dealt with injuries. Age is a concern. But I do think Middleton, if you would bring him in as a third option, I think that would be fantastic. The thing is, the Bulls aren't really kind of on that timeline right now. The Bulls need to figure out and find their first and second best player before they're worried about their third. So I think Middleton will most likely go back to Milwaukee, but you never know. Middleton, he would be a fun name to bring in. He would just come down from Milwaukee all the way to Chicago, only a quick little 45-minute drive. But Middleton, number 1 on my list as a potential free agent signing for the Chicago Bulls. But I'll toss it your guys' way. Name a free agent you want the Bulls to sign. I'll make this the pin comment on today's video, so make sure you go down there and answer it. Name any free agent, whatever it may be. They could have a team, player option. I don't care. Just give me a free agent you want the Bulls to sign. Number 2 on this list, D'Angelo Russell, the point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers, and he has just been so up and down this past season. I love D'Lo. When he was during the regular season with the Los Angeles Lakers, he was great, but the playoffs is where he really struggled. Just under 14 points a game, and again, the efficiency, the shooting splits with these guys. D'Lo, especially in this past series against the Nuggets, I think he averaged 6 points a game. Just over and just like under, I think it was like 26% from 3 against the Denver Nuggets. But again, 31.4% from 3. D'Lo, he just hasn't really been the most winning player in his NBA career. And that's why I call it D'Lo. I think he's a playground hooper. I think D'Lo is one of those guys, like if you saw him at your local LA Fitness, honestly, most of these guys, if you saw him at your local LA Fitness or local park, they're going to look like a top 10 talent in the NBA. But I think D'Lo, that is especially is the case. I think D'Lo, if you saw him just hooping, going through a workout, you would be like, oh, D'Lo, it might be a top 5 point guard in the game. He's just not like that. I think he's a little more glam than grit. I'm just not the biggest fan of his game in terms of how it contributes to winning. He's a hell of a basketball player. He's got good size, 6'5". He's a decent playmaker as well. I just don't really know how D'Lo contributes to winning too often. Number 3 on my list, Fred VanVleet, the hometown kid from Rockford, Illinois. I've always been a fan of Fred VanVleet, especially that one year with the Toronto Raptors when they won the NBA championship. But again, this past season, he was more of a volume guy this past year, just under 20 points a game. The shooting split's way down. That's the thing that stands out to me on the graphic on screen right now. Under 40% from the field and under 35% from three. I just realized the three guys we've shown up here, not the most efficient three-point shooters, and that's probably where the Bulls need to get better. Probably the most is the three-point shooting ability, but we saw the playmaking with Fred VanVleet this past season. 7.2 assists per game. He put up really solid numbers. Honestly, I would love me some Fred VanVleet in Chicago. I think no matter what the Bulls do with LaVine, DeRozan, whatever it may be, I do think the Bulls need to get a true point guard in the building. I think maybe Fred VanVleet can kind of transition to that in the later half of his NBA career. You know, we saw the scoring output, and we saw the combo guard during the Raptors playoff run, but maybe he's going to turn to more of a true point and more of a savvy veteran in the second half in the career. But I ask you guys, would you sign Fred VanVleet during NBA free agency? Give me an S for sign or give me a P for pass down in the comment section. Curious to see what you guys got to say. Number 4 for me is another Milwaukee Buck, and that is center Brook Lopez, the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year, and for right reason. He is a menace at the rim. He's one of the best shot blockers in the NBA, and he put up fantastic numbers this past season. I mean, he averaged 16 points a game with 2.5 blocks, again, on great efficiency from the field. 53% from the field, 37.4% from downtown. I mean, just having a big that can protect the rim and also hit threes, it's rare, but I love Brook Lopez. I think he is really one of the better role players we have in the NBA. If we're talking about modern-day bigs, you either want a center who can protect the rim really well and can be a lob threat, or you want a guy who can be more of a stretch five, and that's Brook Lopez. I think he can do both. Like, whatever sort of scheme or whatever kind of role you want him to play, I think he can play that. I mean, he is legit 7 foot. He's a big dude. He's a good screener. He can shoot the three well. He's also a great defender. I think Brook Lopez, I would love for the Bulls to bring him in. Probably wouldn't be the most expensive free agent you could get, but man, bringing in Brook Lopez, he's just a winning guy. He contributes to winning at the highest level. I would consider, or if I were the Bulls, I would consider bringing him in. But number 5 on my list, Harrison Barnes. He had kind of a rejuvenated year this past season with the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, the Kings had a great regular season. They ended up being third in the Western Conference, which was pretty damn impressive. But this past season, I mean, he did put up 15 points a game on pretty solid efficiency from the field, 47.3% from the field, and then 37.4% from deep. I've always been a Harrison Barnes fan. I do think he is one of the better role players as well, just like Brook Lopez in the league. But Harrison Barnes, he doesn't really push the needle for me. I mean, if we were going to bring in a role player like that, I would much rather have it be Brook Lopez, because I do think Harrison Barnes would demand a little more than Brook. I don't know. I've liked Harrison Barnes' game, but doesn't really match up with the timeline for the Chicago Bulls. I don't think so. Maybe if they moved off DeMar and Vooch and they brought in, I don't know how they would get their hands on another star, and it was like another star, LaVine, then I'll be okay with them bringing in Harrison Barnes. But overall, before the Bulls kind of dive into free agency, they got to make decisions on their own roster. They got to decide if they're re-signing Vooch, if they're going to trade away DeMar, if they're going to trade away LaVine. That's what they need to figure out first overall before they dive into free agency. But guys, make sure you guys are subscribed. When free agency gets underway, if the Bulls make a signing, we're going to have a video for you guys ASAP. Thank you guys so much for watching today's show. It's been fun talking hoops, talking Bulls with you guys. So make sure you subscribe, stay in the loop. See you guys next time. Peace.